Welcome back, everybody. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett. He's Kyle. We're back. Hey, man.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing winded and well.
Winded and well.
Yes.
Did you just have to chase the kid around the house or something?
Oh, I was chasing the bizarre players we were facing with this week. We ran into some, I don't know if you want to call it like a glitch in the Matrix. Like we were two stacking.
You and I haven't won a game together outside of patron games in a long time.
No, but then when we were playing by ourselves, like we're both basically what we do this week.
Fine games. Yeah. We
go play by ourselves.
Either I'm a curse or you're a curse. I don't know. Or we're each like a friendship necklace. We are one half of a curse each. And when we come together, that cursed heart just comes together and gives us horrible matchups. Really what I'm trying to say is, hey, are you listening to the sound of my voice right now? Well, you care more than the average bear about Heroes of the Storm. Please join my games. Please play. I wasn't. This is not in the notes. You and I are just having a moment here. What the hell is happening? We had someone yesterday straight up. This is full. I'm opening the can of salt, Kyle. Are you ready for this? Are you ready to relive past trauma?
All right. I don't want to, but let's do it.
We literally, dear listeners, had a player yesterday. We had two, technically. Two people came in. We saw they're together. It was a really handsome comp, too. You and I were excited. We were excited. We saw loading and we're like, oh, we have a real team and we're just going into quick match. But look, we got a healer. We got a tank because we both picked damage dealers. We want to have a good time. And the game gave us a team. And our May just never did anything. There were multiple times we caught her just standing in a bush for about a minute, not moving. And we'd ping, like a polite one ping. Then do hey, is everything okay? No comment. Like they just weren't saying anything and they also weren't playing the game. And so at a certain point, you're a saint. I'm me. I am on brand. I just go, is this May a freaking bot? Like I type in chat, like, is this May a bot? And the person who is party with them goes, oh, they're trying to fix their team chat. And I'm like, we're in minute 17 and we're down 3 levels. I don't think fixing the team chat at this point is going to help shit. Like, could you just play the game? Like, and I'm still mad about it today. I'm so flabbergasted by someone who just stands still for most of the game because they couldn't get voice chat to work with their friend, and they think that they typed that back in my head. I didn't vocalize this to you, but in my head I was like, oh, that it clearly explains everything and lets you off the hook for ruining this game for 4 other players.
Listen, my team chat's not ready, but let's throw a full game for everybody. Sky Temple, by the way, for anyone in the know. So we're not getting the comeback on a macro map like Sky Temple, and you're working on your team chat. Well, I mean, good luck in your next game, I guess. But what a bizarre thing to do to your fellow player.
I don't get it. I feel like I'm having a Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm monologue about we live in a society, and I'm like yelling about how we should behave in traffic. But that's how I feel right now. Like that is just unacceptable human behavior in a MOBA.
It was complicated and snowballed by the fact that you would play some games solo. You'd be like, I'm digging this. Let's get Kyle in here. It'd be awful. And then you'd leave. I play some games solo, like recover and be like, oh, that was great. And then we'd pick up the next day and say, wait, we both played solo games. They were great. Let's get back together again. And this ebb and flow.
Really, and today we had the never use your decoy Nova.
Yeah, that was like a
the runaway unstealth don't decoy Nova. I was just like, why? And so yeah, anyway, the May going, oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix my voice chat 60 minutes in a game. Like it was just the cherry on top of like, I've just gotten the worst players I've ever seen. Period. Consistently every time I play with you. And I don't know why. Because then you're right. I go play solo. I get the ugliest team comps you've ever had, and I have great games. And it's like this beautiful mess where I come out of it being like, man, that was a lot of fun. Dude, I had a beautiful Zagara game this week. Truly beautiful. It was extra beautiful because Sonya was talking shit, and then I got MVP and top damage and lowest deaths, and I just destroyed. And so it was fun to just like, oh, Sonya's not talking anymore. I wonder why.
I had a 5-man reset on my Purifier Beam at level 20 on Artanis.
Oh.
Like I destroyed. It was epic and it was awesome, which is why I then brought that to you this afternoon. Was like, I'm going to play some Artanis.
Your swaps were a work of art, man. They were truly beautiful. I was on Brightwing, so I was right there with the Polymorph every single time, and our damage was solo topping on Towers of Doom because that's the priority lane. That's what
I don't know if the queue system with the 2 stack is being like, all right, let's make sure we get some low level, or on their teams, and then we get Smurfs, or if that old system of like, because our Nova in that game, our standstill lock on no decoys Nova was an Imperious main on their account.
Oh, you went digging. Oh,
yeah, I was curious.
You're curious, or you were also salty?
I was not. It was not out of pure salt. Like I just wanted to know why Nova was standing and delivering.
Listeners,
and
are you hearing this, man?
He
can't just give me this. He can't just say, Garrett, you're not alone. You're not a trash human that gets angry with the slightest inconvenience. I also got. So he just can't give this to me, everybody.
I think there are people who want to go throw rocks, and then there's a person in the back saying, why? And I'm why. We're both equally mad. You're throwing a rock. I'm saying why. We're both mad. We're both trying to calm down. You by physical exertion, me by mental exertion. So we're both, on the same level of salt, I think, ultimately.
Okay.
It's just what you do with that energy. And for me, I ask why. And I found an answer, and it helped me calm down.
I ask why to like the universe and the matchmaker. Like why do you punish me for playing with Kyle? That's what I want to know.
And then you just make connections that probably don't exist. Like, who cares? Like, an Imperious main might also be an amazing Nova, But hey, it made sense in my head. The levels of the chemicals in my brain recede, and we're all good to go and keep having a good time.
Oh, dude, I've had so many good Novas in my solo games too, man. Because I'm still on my Illidan kick, and I'll like get on somebody, and like without fail, our quick match Nova shows up out of the bush and helps me complete the kill, and I'm like, "You're my buddy, Nova. You're my buddy."
I think they've reached a great point in the matchmaker for solo queue. I think solo queue is extremely powerful. I think there's a lot of conversations going around like this right now. It's a fascinating aspect of video games, and to stick a toe into what's going on with World of Warcraft. Like, you have a big raid that's currently releasing, and people are having trouble finding players of gear and skill to run it. And so the raiders are mad at the non-raiders, and the non-raiders aren't playing, got burnt out, or aren't ready to go into that raid. And they're both kind of button heads. And you've got Overwatch, different example, a different kind of topic, but you've got Overwatch, 6 players. You've got World of Warcraft, Here's the Storm, 5 players. You have Final Fantasy 14, 4 players. Like, how many friends am I supposed to have? One of the frustrating things about our group, the There Will Be Dungeons kind of game group, is that we love all different kinds of games. We started playing Here's the Storm. This is the core guys, Scott Johnson, Bo Schwartz, and John Jagger, and Kristen Ashton. We started playing Heroes, and then we did WoW Dungeons all together. And then we got into Vermintide, but that's 4 players. So someone always had to get kicked out. And then into Dwarf Rocks. I always forget the game because we just call it Dwarf Rocks.
Something Galactic.
Deep Rock Galactic.
Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah. But that's 4 players too. So yeah, I feel like there just needs to be a committee where all the games come together and say, how many friends are we supposed to have? And we can make those tough choices now.
But in MMOs, Kyle, there's also raids.
There are also raids, right? And those are other numbers.
And also, I really like a good co-op experience, just like me and you and me. I think we're coming back around to Valheim did it really well because you could have more, but you could make it work. You could solo it. You could bring a buddy in.
Yeah, and this is not a conversation for necessarily Here's the Storm. I don't want scaled games or we've used to. And then they make figured it out.
MOBAs figured it. MMOs can't. They cannot agree. MMOs can't get their shit together. MOBAs, we figured it out. MOBAs as a genre went, it's 5, deal with it. And
Two couples, one third wheel, we're done.
exactly.
Spot on.
You get your happily divorced friend, and you go. I don't know why I said I'm very happily married. I just didn't want to make it seem like they were sad.
You might as well be friends too. Like
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah.
But
You're not married yet, friend. Yep.
But what is that system in Heroes decaying at the moment? Like, are the old rule sets we've heard in the past about the Nova getting an easier match because they're an Imperius main? Does that rule no longer apply? Does our going in as a two stack mess with it so much that they increased our enemies MMRs essentially? It'd be fascinating to see kind of what that is like under the hood at this current stage of the game.
I don't mean to trash nameless people, but it really feels like it's giving us low skill teammates, not so much high skill opponents.
That Genji was nuts, actually, though. There was Genji.
I can't. I'm not mad about that. Was you talking about that game yesterday? Yeah, that Genji was a freaking monster. Yeah. And I've played against a lot of Genji since they lightly buffed him, and at no point has the thought they did too much to Genji entered my head until yesterday in that one game. That Genji was an absolute beast. But yeah, it happens sometimes. Every once in a while, you end up. You showed up to art class and Rembrandt decided to pop in. You know.
There's also extremes like Malthael. Like Malthael is just, ooh man. Sometimes you have godlike games, and other games there ain't a single tank over there. There ain't nothing to attach to. Everything's high mobility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah, bad matchups still definitely happen. But also sometimes bad matchmaker happens. And I feel like we've been stuck in a little more of the latter, but some of the former.
But our 5-bans were great. Like we had a great bonanza.
Dude, our bonanza, I mean, we were just covered in the blood of our enemies.
Yeah.
After the last bonanza. And all of them. So folks, if you've never tuned in, we do game nights once a month with our patrons. And we did February's last week. We won every single game. We swept. We haven't swept in quite a while. But every game was close. Every game was a hard-fought win. I think with one exception. I think the first game of the night we just kind of destroyed. But every other game, it was a hard-fought. It was a hard-fought win. That first ARAM we did, I was cussing. I was grumbly in that one. That was a hard-fought win.
And some of it is just like NGS is on right now. Like 5 stacking with friends is dangerous during NGS season because there's a high chance you will fight another team.
That's a good point.
And same with ARAM. Like ARAM is packed with people. If you go into ARAM at like basically 5 p.m. Pacific to 7 p.m. Pacific, there's a like 50% chance you're going to fight an NGS team warming up for the night.
I love that. I love that it's just like we're going clubbing, but they go out to ARAM. That's good.
Destroy.
That's good.
It's fun.
You know what else is good? We got mentioned in Destructoid last week.
We did.
Over on Destructoid.com. If you haven't seen it, there's a piece over on Destructoid titled "Heroes of the Storm is still alive and well." Hey, thanks for the spotlight, Chris Carter, the author of this article. There was a lot of ITN and ITN adjacent name dropping in here. The podcast got name dropped, Hotslogs got name dropped, and you and your YouTube channel got name dropped.
Nice.
So thanks again, Chris. Really appreciate it. We got a link in the show notes if you missed it. But it also talks about CCL and some other great YouTubers and whatnot, like Fan. I mean, if you're listening to this, I would assume you know about Fan. But I always feel the need to promote his YouTube because I feel like most people just think of him as a streamer. But his YouTube is such a nice well of, I want to play this thing. How do I play this thing? And there's a good chance there's a fan video in the last 3 months of him playing that thing. That's what I do. And just like go see like, hey, what's the micro on this?
Yeah.
I don't really go there for builds. I go there kind of more to see the control.
I'm so in this like YouTube analytics, like the algorithm kind of brain space recently. But for me, the fans YouTube is just highly efficient because I would say my view time on fans channel is either 30 minutes or 20 seconds. because I come by, I see the hero, all right, and I leave. I come by,
Mm.
it's a hero I want to learn, and I stay, and then I head out. Like his poor channel must be like woo
It's just up and down, up and down.
waves.
If
Yeah,
everyone
yeah,
behaves like you,
that's true. Not everyone does. Not everyone does.
yeah, yeah.
I
I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah, please subscribe to Grinding Gear. Is all we're trying to say.
that too. I am not like there is a ton of game players out there who are the I want to watch something in the background. I can't do it. I've never been
No,
able to put anything on. I can do a podcast if like I'm really in Farmsville,
this is
eh,
solo laning. I can podcast while solo laning.
but like watching a stream and playing anything like I know people who have said like they're playing a Dark Souls game or Elden Ring while they have the TV on, and I'm just like
What?
the visual madness.
What?
What you're desensitized. There's something wrong. You must live right next to Times Square or Tokyo or something to be so visually stimulated all the time.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's all I can. That's all I can think of. But yeah, that sounds exhausting. It's not something I can do. It's not something I can do. But anyways, but before we get to the rest of this episode, and we just talked about our game nights. We do want to thank our patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/itn. We're down a little bit. There's no other way to slice it. So if you like what Kyle and I are doing here, you want to support the two of us. It is just the two of us. We are sponsored by no one. Check out patreon.com/itn. It's the best way to support the two of us. And to our most recent patrons, thank you, David Perkins and Carlos Fong. We really, really appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this show, that's the number one way to support it, to keep it going, to keep us getting those amazing guests we love to have on. Like we have professionals on the show, whether they're professional streamers, production people. We love getting a chance to pay them for their time here and make it worth their while. So please help us regain those levels at patreon.com/ITN.
We would appreciate it. And I also appreciate that CCL is coming back, Kyle. Season 4
Yeah.
has formally been announced. We touched on it lightly last week, but we didn't really get down into the nitty gritty of it. Teams have been confirmed or mostly reconfirmed. And there's been some changes. We know how roster changes are going to work. We know how free agents work, how roster finalization is going to work. About the only damn thing that hasn't been confirmed is the map pool, and that's because they're going to let the players of the CCL vote on their top 9 map choices to make that pool. I would imagine, with a lot of the players looking the same and a lot of the teams looking the same, that the map pool might end up looking the same.
Yeah, well, we haven't had any big changes either. Like Volskaya hasn't received a change that has motivated players to repick it in most situations.
Yeah.
I don't think I can't think of any other map. We had the well update, right? Like that, I believe happened mid-season, season 3.
Yeah. Now there's still a pretty sizable stretch of time before this kicks off. Do they say? No, they don't say when map voting is going to take place. So, I mean, there's still time.
I assume once they have their rosters together. The interesting thing about this season, and let's go ahead and get the date out here for it. Looks like roster release deadlines. Tried to lock their roster by April 20th.
Yeah, because they're going to have a roster reveal on April 30th.
Okay.
So we're essentially 2 months out from anything being set in stone.
Run from May 7th to August 7th of this year. So it's going to be like the previous ones, a pretty big tournament. The free agent open tournament is still going to happen. So there will be opportunities for new players to show off their skills and get picked up and all that sort of business. Very rarely is this ever tied to drama. I've of any names I can think of, I can't that have been released because of drama. It's merely schedules. It's people, not matching practice time with the EU players on the team, or someone who's going to school and school picked up this season, so they can't do the next season. Uh, but they're not doing the player draft. They're not going to televise that. They're going to do a reveal of the teams, but there's not going to be a big hullabaloo about trading, which they really kind of pulled back on in season 3. And there's no required drops anymore. So teams can stay at the level. It's an interesting aspect because one concern that audiences had is if they kept forcing teams to drop players, the teams wouldn't advance. They'd always be playing catch up for the first half of the season, which happens naturally because people go off, they play other games, they stream other games, they take the off season to relax, what have you. Not until like the mid season things really pick up in the first place. But now things will restart at least maybe at that mid season level.
Yeah, because there can be player changes, but they're not having a player draft
Right.
in season 4. They're leaving it up to the teams to choose whether they want to release players. And then they're also going to have a free agent pool, but they also talk about they can organize their own 1-for-1 trades between organizations. So there's a lot of potential for player shakeup, but it is now like it's left up to the teams themselves. There's as you mentioned, there's none of this is being forced,
Which is good for the games. Bad for the entertainment quality that I enjoy. I just like the player draft. I totally get it. Like you're asking players to lose skill. It's like when I go to Friday Night Magic and there's somebody in the corner talking about what cards are best. I'm like, this is a new set. What is your problem? Why would you do
I was that
why would you
person. I was that person every time.
and you should be. That's the right thing to do because you're about to spend real money to play against people and get cards. Like you should have some understanding of meta, but
Listen, if I ended up with an extra 20 hours a week out of nowhere, I would love nothing more than to get back into Magic. But yeah. Anyways, so 30K, Chili Mountain, Diamond Hands, Granite Gaming, Oxygen Esports, Simplicity, Storm Esports, and Wildheart are all returning.
excellent.
Yeah. Good stuff. It's gonna be it's a proper season. It's gonna have a long summer into fall event.
This will also then straddle. No, it'll be back weighted because currently our Storm League launcher had perhaps a bug or perhaps a delay that pushed it out 2 weeks. So we're looking at about July 5th for the next season roll, which we would assume content update. That the current classic skin event on the launch screen would last until July 5th. So that means they're going to be having a shakeup, whatever that is.
It's interesting. The game's in an odd place now though, so I don't know what really to think about that because it's like we still get patches when patches are ready. So
Yeah.
how much of a shakeup is it going to be? Because it was the skin events. I mean, skins are skins.
Right, and reworks aren't exactly tied to those either.
No,
Sometimes they are,
not so
but
far. Especially the last one. I don't think they're. No one got reworked from that last batch, right?
Kerrigan, Rayner,
Leeming,
Rhaegar. Rhaegar was the big
okay,
rework.
you're right. Yeah, we did get a classic Rhaegar. I feel like I was kind of hard on those. The more I see that Rhaegar skin, the more I like it.
It's nice. Yeah,
The classic Rhaegar skin is good.
I do like the Kerrigan. I like
the Kerrigan one. It's not for me.
I like the old timey look. There's some Rayner colorations that are really unique and very loud, which can be kind of fun to see. Like there's a green tealish Rayner that when he's inspired and glowy, he just looks like a disco ball.
Maybe we did go against some badass MFers because I'm thinking about that Rayner yesterday, who was a beast.
Yeah.
He was really aggressive. He knew exactly what he could get away with. It sucked. but yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. I'm now, you now have me crossing my fingers for some Battleground updates.
I think it'd be really nice. I mean, granted, volatility here because the map pool would be chosen well in advance. I would love, of course, for them to match the map pool to our CCL play so we're not playing on off maps. We're not watching. It's just not as thrilling. This really kind of ties into the big conversation I felt was being had on the Reddit this week of why aren't players doing camps? There is a huge amount of effort put into NGS and organized play to get those camps done when they spawn and something extreme like Alterac Pass. I think that's actually this might get straight into the heart of it. Alterac Pass has inserted into this game a requirement of camps. Camps are great. Camps are sources of XP. They push lanes during objectives. In our previous understandings of the game, that was way more important. Like, camps go during objectives. You get value in other lanes when you're busy fighting. You must do a camp. Alterac Pass came in and said camps are for XP, and you will do this camp on cooldown every time, or you didn't build enough probes at the start of the game. It's basically that.
We were
It's your
doing the
tower
same thing
defense.
in I know it's not a popular map, but Hanamura. Same basic concept there, like so weighted XP wise towards camps, and they even adjusted it, but it's still a good chunk of XP.
Right, but in that one, it's like a trade back and forth. There's a little bit, I don't want to say like counterplay. I guess you could defend them in a sense. But if they take the site tower, you take it back, then you take it, and then they take it back. There's a kind of game you can play where they take the site tower and then you battle for it, and they did the hard work of clearing it, and then you recap it kind of thing and get the XP. That's a great stolen. And Cavalier Guest gets really excited about it. So I know it's good. I know it's good XP. Uh, when you play a auto chess, this used to be like mechanics in old like Tower Wars games as well, but auto chess being more popular. There is often a mechanic whereas if you hold on to your money, you will have more money at the end of the turn. Or do you want to buy this thing that increases your income? And each turn you'll have more income if you put more money into the income at the early part of the game. That's what Alterac Pass is like. If you are 30 seconds late on that camp, and then 5 seconds, and 5 seconds, 5 seconds, every time after the enemy is doing theirs faster, you're already behind. And I think a lot of people are finding that very tilting at the high end of macro.
That makes sense. It's definitely, I don't exist in that high end of macro though, so it doesn't really affect me.
That's and like this is ignorance is bliss in that case, right? Like last thing I want is you in solo lane staring at the Knoll camp and being like, why isn't he? Why aren't Hanzo and Anduin coordinating together? Go do this together because we didn't draft someone who can take camp solo.
Usually I can take camps. Usually it's the other way around. Like, why won't someone relieve me so I can go do camps? Like, and I saw this post this week too. It was a popular on the comment side of things on the Reddit, which is the why don't you do camps early? And my thought is, I want to, I want to, but I feel like I can't unless I just like dominate my lane and push it out to the point where I wouldn't be able to effectively soak it anyway, which I feel like is a mistake in its own right. Because you don't want to get to the point where you can't recover that XP that's being generated. But that's, to me, playing solo, the only time I really get to go do camps. I love at the 1 minute mark just disappearing and going and taking camps. But
it's a fascinating aspect.
Sorry, what was that?
It's about are camps fun to do? Are they more fun than laning? They're more fun than sieging.
I feel they are.
I think there is a gut. If we just go like on the science of fun, clearing a lane is fun. Boom, minions fly. Yeah, that did so quickly. All the orbs fly into me. Maybe the orbs even increase the fun for you. Then you get to the wall. And someone like Malthiel, the fun stops. The fun is over.
That's a pretty extreme example.
It is. But like,
why can't he mark buildings? Why can't, even if it's like 25% of normal damage on a mark? His siege is the worst.
Why does Kira bleed? What, the buildings are bleeding? They're haunted. Like what? Why is this allowed to happen?
You're right. Kira can make buildings bleed. Are buildings filled with blood? Will someone please explain this to me?
But they have no souls that you can rend. They are unrendable.
If you have blood, you have a soul. Listen, I don't make the rules, okay? This is just science.
It's just the way it is, okay? Souls for blood. Poor plants. Well, that's water. Maybe, but we'll get into it. Not right now. Maybe some future show. I don't know. I don't know why I said we'll get into it. Is that like, I feel like that's where, and of course, when we're working with what we know, we're gonna say things like tower ammo, because like Malthiel takes you to the wall, you see the tower ammo go down, your brain goes, I'm doing something, I like this. Then the tower ammo runs out, so your lane has superiority, giving you a greater gap to go take the Merc camp. Like what could be done in that case to let us take merc camps because they're fun. Why don't players take merc camps? The answer is because you're not getting excused to. You don't have a chance.
That's
Also, Greymane's not extremely popular, so maybe like maybe we took away the maybe it's just not a meta for it. Maybe
okay.
we
Hold on,
can't.
hold on. I mean, if we're going off popularity, then let's look at games played. Okay, yeah, none of these are really camp takers. Your point stands.
Yeah,
Vala,
so maybe
nope. Right wing,
yeah.
bribe. Anduin, nope. Murden, Artanis, Diablo, Nazib. Nazebo's decent.
Oh, it's so disappointing though because you want to be stacking. It
That's
feels
true.
bad.
Yep. Li Ming, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Rhaegar, not anymore, buddy. Not for a long time. Not since you could lightning shield your own totem.
It's not
Stitches.
horrible.
Li Ming's
You're
kind of
just running down the top heroes,
Li
like
Ming's
most
horrible.
popular.
I'm looking at most played. I could go by
Hmm.
popularity, but that would count banned.
Sure. Oh, that's a
Um,
great statistic.
yeah. I play so little Asmodan. I would assume he's bad at camps.
Oh yeah, it's pretty disappointing.
Like,
Yeah.
what would he do to Varian? I mean, if they're in my games, they're twin blades, so they're great at taking camps.
Yeah, they're good.
That was shade,
True.
by the way, if you weren't keeping track at home. We get all the way down. We're out of the top 10 before we hit like Jaina, where I'm like, okay, cool. We can take camps now.
Right, and that's the sweet spot, right? Like we can't say Hogger go take camps in a solo queue environment, which is what the Reddit post was complaining about, commenting on, I should say, because Hogger is stuck in lane in this sort of iteration of
Yeah.
things. Like we need that Greymane who's not laning. Plus, Greymane just got that update where now Greymanes think they can go lane. A little bit of opinion splashed in there, and so they might not go take camps anyway. So yeah, we're currently missing players who would do that camp by themselves cheaply on the comp of the team. Rhaegar's, sort of Jaina's, Vala's, Greymanes, where your brain goes, you don't have to be in lane. What else can you do?
Mm. People don't like playing solo laners. And the few that are popular are not good at taking camps.
No, they're doing other things like the Haka. Like, you're bringing a presence, a global presence, a soak.
Yeah.
That,
according to like looking at this season on Hot Slogs, the most popular like solo laners are Nazebo and Asmodan. Zebo good at taking camps, but shouldn't be, as you pointed out. Yeah. We get all the way down to like Sonya, probably like in the 20s, top 20s at that point.
Yeah, and the answer isn't necessarily to give them more lane clear, but a lot of our bruisers do bring good CC now. So, in that case, is it a design philosophy problem with the map, or is it a lane clear problem that can be adjusted through numbers? Do solo laners bring too much to the table? It's why you see double bruiser comps develop when we have really powerful bruisers.
Mm.
Because everyone's like, well, let's just skip the tank. We don't need that. We can just do bruisers.
What if my damage dealer could survive, and what if my tank could deal damage?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you be interested in that? Oh, God, I don't know why I just ended up hovering over Junkrat and was reminded that I had to play him in an ARAM last week, and I still feel dirty about it.
Yeah, you did win,
Those
though.
traps are dumb, dude.
Yeah.
They are dumb.
Yeah, I think we're reaching the let us attack them, because I mean even a Rhaegar totem takes a lot of work to
You're
get
right.
rid of.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it feels like counterplay is limited, but it's there. It's just it's work. It's arduous. You need to sacrifice micro and damage uptime. But if it means you live, or you free up movement speed to actually secure kills, like it's worth it in a lot of cases. But it's interesting stuff. So I mean, I don't know. Put a bow on why don't people do camps early, Kyle? What should we do?
Tower ammo's an interesting aspect. I'd be curious to see what the opposite would be, to flip flop it to defensive rather than aggressive. And in that way, could you have your own towers gather XP orbs that have value? Like, what can we do to excuse a solo laner to go do a camp that they would enjoy doing?
Mm.
And then have the joy of coming back in with that camp and pushing with it, because that's also part of that fun. So we just want more fun. And right now we don't get to do the fun thing. And those who sacrifice their fun feel it the most. And that's
Mm.
perhaps the biggest detriment is the the Redditor here is the type of person who would say, we don't have a healer, I'm gonna heal. But I know how much I look macro, and I know I'm gonna be watching that solo, and I'm gonna be watching all those camps, but I can't personally do it, and it drives them insane.
That's kind of where I exist. I think my tip would be like, well, how you should probably go out if this is something that interests you and learn your camp typings so that when you are in a position where you can take advantage of that knowledge, that you can execute on it. But it's a double-edged sword because now you will have the burden of knowledge, where one more thing could potentially make you angry that previously you were oblivious to, so it didn't bother you.
What if, and I'm gonna go like it's this, we're not even in armchairs, we're like full space commanders flying in our special little ships with,
You're playing Mech Warrior?
yeah, no, this is where this is extreme. I've got so many levers and buttons. What if Merc camps just auto activated when you got enough XP? Like you soak efficiently, you get Merc camps. They just came down the lane.
I don't
Or
like
if
it.
everyone had bribe essentially, mechanically.
I do not like it. Like, you don't even need to go to the mercs. They're like, congratulations, here's your Happy Meal toy.
That's one option, but the other option would be everybody has bribe. You know, you soak a lane to a point where you can declare I have soaked X many lanes, and then you can go get a Merc camp for your team. Everybody has baseline bribe in a sense.
I'd rather feel special.
You'd rather have known that you drafted for
I
it.
would rather live in a world where I have knowledge that makes me angrier than the average player, but when I get to act on that knowledge, I feel impactful, than let's homogenize an entire sub-strategy of this game.
You like your Dr. Manhattans. You like your Twilight Zones where infinite knowledge just means infinite sadness.
A little bit, yes. I don't know if you've ever noticed this about me, Kyle. I'm a little emo.
I think that's fair. You know, a lot of advertising targets the something you don't. Tech ads are nothing but the look how X people are suffering, but you have a BlackBerry.
Oh, every hobby, dude. What are you particularly passionate about? D&D. What's the thing where you're like, I do this, other people don't? Because I have it with cars, man. I'm sitting there going, oh, people do not understand the satisfaction of a manual transmission.
Nah, that's the D&D's a good. We're all just sitting around being like, I'm a better DM, and
We all
I'm
want to
the
be
best
hipsters. We all want to be hipsters.
Okay.
So like, if you're into music, oh, vinyl. It's so, yeah, I get it. It is cool. I tried to get into vinyl. You know what? I just found out I just prefer digital music. It's just a lot more convenient.
Yeah, and Marcy in the chat brings up that I do love to talk about 3.5 and how great it is. So
That's
changing additions. I think that it's something that again, World of Warcraft is such a great case study in this. The having things that other players don't, and how much should that be an aspect of your overall strategy? How much can you motivate a player to enjoy a game because they know something somebody else? But it does that work so well in a game where you're reliant on other people, like raiding, like solo queue, Storm League.
No, but you still, I think, need some of it. So I don't think we can homogenize merc camps. Like, and at that point, like, why is it merc camps? Why can't we homogenize something else? Why can't everyone have lane clear?
Yeah.
Why are we talking about merc camps and not lane clear? I think if I told you, Kyle, I think, well, what if we just made everyone really efficient at clearing lanes? I feel like you would have pushback against that.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I don't
like,
want Uther, who's invincible in lane in a sense, to be capable of clearing his lanes with the same speed as others.
The layers of strategy is what makes this game interesting in the first place, and merc camps and the ability to take them and recognizing that you are on a comp and you have a hero that is good at them and that kind of a thing. It all makes the layered onion that we love to call Heroes of the Storm. Or if you're more of the donkey persuasion, you could call it a cake because more people like cake. Cue the Smash Mouth, Kyle. I think we cracked it.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it alone.
We did it. Just leave it because we can't solve it. Leave it alone.
What would be? I mean, it's to me, it's more interesting. I always I find more power exciting, even if at the end of the day, like we end up having to push power up in other places to make up for it, and it eventually just becomes placebo because everything kind of ends up where it was. If we saw a patch note that said all mercenaries damage has been increased by 5% and it scales as it used to, like that'd be something where I'd go, cool, you've incentivized taking merc camps more. That's always where my brain goes, because if you're trying to excite your current player base, your current bought in Heroes of the Storm players, upping the power of known quantities, it's always going to make us raise our eyebrows. Even if we have to course correct, down the road.
I like that. I like that a lot, because then granted, you might have an outbreak of Zeratul Novas and that sort of thing. But, right now, when Greymane's missing, I don't necessarily care to the degree that maybe I should in that case, because he's getting more XP for his team and he's going to create a merc camp.
And that's an angle this is an angle we didn't talk about, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because it depends on the player. But sometimes you get flamed for taking a merc camp. People are like, why weren't you in lane getting XP? Why weren't you reporting to the objective on time? It doesn't matter that I mentioned, hey, give me 5 extra seconds to finish this merc camp, and then I'll be there on the objective. We could just be patient, but people aren't patient. So there's that as well. But I don't want to get lost in the weeds of some people are mean, because there's always going to be some mean people.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
In that case, is lane clear really that much fun? But then I think you get into types of characters, because I really do believe that Cavalier Guest loves lane clear. I really do. And for me, like, you give me an opening hand of magic with no mana in it, like, what is this? Why would I want to play this game?
How is that lane clear? Because you're not doing anything.
What I'm saying is that
an opening hand of magic with no mana, Kyle, is standing in a bush trying to fix your team chat. That's what that is.
What I'm saying is perhaps that the economy of a game interests a lot of people, but not necessarily me. I'd play Magic if I could have one free land every turn, like I do a coin in Hearthstone. But that economy of strategy, like how much land, how many probes should I build, how many drones do I want harvesting minerals? For me, it's about the battles. And if drones auto-populated out of my hive, I would still be having a good time.
They do.
But I have to build them, and I don't know exactly what number, how many I should have, and I got to build up a bunch.
Oh god, I thought you were talking about like StarCraft, like Brood War versus StarCraft 2. Brood War, you still need to go. You got to select them and tell them to go do their thing. But in StarCraft 2, you can just rally their asses straight to the minerals.
Yeah, I'm not talking about auto queuing or anything.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. I got excited for a second. I haven't talked about StarCraft in a while.
Yeah, no, it's not something I think about much, other than when I play Artanis and I go, he's fun. Man, Legacy of the Void was kind of a bummer.
It played so well.
It did.
But I did not care for the story.
Yeah, it was a master of campaign. I love the gameplay.
What I'm trying to say is, don't worry, World of Warcraft players. You can still think of the game fondly, even though the story sometimes lets you down. I love StarCraft 2. One of my favorite games of all time. Didn't love the ending.
Yeah.
Still think of it as one of the greatest games, probably the greatest strategy game ever made, in my opinion.
I'll tell you about Prototype sometime.
Prototype, okay.
Yeah. My
favorite. The third-person console adventure game?
Yep. Love the gameplay. I thought it was awesome. Story was awful.
I mean, the story looked like a Godsmack album.
Oh, it was a T-shirt with all the bands on it, man. It was awful.
Do camps, everybody. Do camps. Would you like to take some emails? We've got some in reserve.
Yeah, let's do some emails.
Cool.
Darkness stopped calling.
Does anyone else hear that buzzing?
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
The real Shadowlands were the Arthuses we became along the way. You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. If you're supporting us on Patreon, skip the inbox entirely. Write us in the patron Discord, which is what Valk did, who says, rank decay feels too prolonged. If someone plays Grandmaster games once a season, do we really want to see them drop potentially to Diamond 5? How would you update the system to improve low Diamond? I feel like this is a question for someone that I heard recently talking about how decay kind of sucks.
Oh yeah. No, I'm back to Diamond 5 because well, I've got NGS games to practice for and play. Like I can't go in on a draft when I mean honestly right now sometimes I'm covering Bruiser, sometimes I'm covering support, so I sort of practice whatever I'm working on for that night too.
So maybe you do kind of belong on Diamond 5.
Maybe I do, right? Yeah. So my skills would decay, but the effort that I would choose to put into it, I'm perhaps robbing the experience of a player right now. Might be the better way to say that, which is a whole different idea that you took away the points I had amassed and I've lost interest in putting time in you because I could go get that exact practice somewhere else, perhaps with better efficiency. That's quick match at the moment. Anyway, how would I improve the system? Stops along the way. If you achieved, previously in the last season, a Masters or Grandmasters category, let's put that to Diamond 2, Diamond 3, and not go touch the edge of Plat. Mainly because Plat is such a trolly, tough, angry place. Is probably the best place to put it. You got
Feeling a little
my.
targeted right now, Kyle. What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that they have a lot of game knowledge. They have a lot of opinions. And they find the time to type, which is perhaps the weirdest part. My experience in coaching people through Silver in the past has been that a lot of it's just connectivity issues, bad computers, load times, poor internet. Like there's a lot of AFKs and a lot of people, just not staying in the games, maybe quitting. And that's tough too. Like that's not fun.
I have felt like quitting for the first time in a long time recently.
Yeah, just quitting out of the game.
I haven't, but I have felt like it. Yeah.
So Plats are always almost diamond, and high diamonds are almost always master. So there's this peaceful, tranquil land of about Diamond 4, where it's really a grab bag is what you're gonna get, but you're free of the Plats who are angry, and a lot of the people are hard stuck there because they're not masters, but they're just willing to have a good time. They're willing to give it their all and give it a draft and give it a go. The games more often than anything get ruined because in this case, CCL player is passing through. And usually it's an EU player working on their ping, which they got to practice. I don't blame them. There's bonus rewards too. They want more things on their account.
Listen, we want to watch the CCL. We want to be entertained. So this is you got to pay to watch.
Yeah, we're paying the price up here in Diamond 5, Diamond 4.
Yeah. So D4 is Zen League, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Except for, as I said, kind of the passing through turbo players that are the CCLs and streamers.
Do you think you get to a point where you accept that, though? Or no, it's still annoying every time it happens?
It's an interesting aspect. In the way Dota's laid out, the length of the game, there was perhaps time to communicate, but more just a counterplay element of get the fed guy. We're going to take all of our effort and drop it on the streamer, the pro player, the one with all the coinage and items. Here, the Storm is designed as such a team play style that oftentimes, as funny as it is, because like you think the team play style, they have to be the same level as their whole team. They don't actually have as big of an advantage. But all the pieces are working together to support that super player. And when their team realizes, oh my goodness, we've got CCL player, and I've experienced this, their whole team kind of gravitates around them and supports them and elevates them. Whereas in Dota, you kind of had this activity of, well, they're a billionaire. Go get your own kills, billionaire. You're already rich. We're not gonna heal you. We're not gonna support you. Just go, just whatever. I don't care.
Also, the map's effing huge. It takes a while to get together.
Yeah, that too. Like if someone's getting ganked, a screen away, you were not moving fast, and your move speed may have been dependent on boots that you didn't buy yet.
Interesting thoughts. So, do you think it's that bad? Because you're sounding a little fond at the moment.
But I am. But that's also because I've removed myself. If I was actively, if I was going at it 3 games a week into ranked, and I came back every week to more decay, that's just bummers. So I'm not subjecting myself to that right now. There's very little reason for me to queue in solo when an NGS scrim could be played instead, when I have an NGS game, or when I need to practice one hero because Cavalier Guest told me to. Like that's my current style life. Ultimately, one thing I think that Val is talking about is if you place, you start the decay. And so there's a lot of people who choose not to play because they know they'd place higher than perhaps Diamond 5 and then would decay down anyway.
Gotcha. So, what would you suggest?
I'll get rid of that system for one. Like perhaps let's start placement or not. Let's all start the decay if you're not playing. Then you get into other accounts. If I've been off playing on my diamond account, that becomes masters. And then I go back to my main. I'm currently better. So the decay system didn't work in the first place. Like that is a social issue that attaching your phone number, email, or anything like that, or verifying with a picture of yourself holding an ID isn't going to affect. People will find ways around and get burner phones or whatever, and that happens in Dota.
Make a fake ID with a fake mustache.
Yeah, I had to do that recently for like tax websites, so that's why it's on my mind. I have to take a picture of myself holding an ID, but I don't think we'll enter those extremes.
No, I don't think so. The real ID was thrown out the damn window.
Yeah.
It's like in a 2-window car though, where it blew back into the back seat, and it's still there, but you kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how that would fly today. That was done like right as Facebook was becoming its juggernaut that it is.
Is it still a juggernaut, or is it just a prettier Craigslist at this point?
Well, that's true too. What people choose to use it for may have gravitated to other areas for sure.
It has 100% replaced Craigslist for me. That's
now
Facebook.
in like an age of streamers, like you got your face online, unless you're like a virtual YouTuber, virtual streamer, I guess, since they'd be on Twitch as well.
We're in this weird middle place, right? Where a lot of us, we don't, but a lot of people use a handle but show their real face.
Yeah. But then you have people who take that extra step of security and they don't want to show their real face, but VR, was it VR? I don't know.
VTubers.
Avatar technology
VTuber.
is far enough along that can be as entertaining as watching a real person to a lot of people. And so they're choosing to further protect their identities.
Are we doing it wrong? Should we be anime ladies?
Should we? I mean, but can I be a vampire? I'd be okay with that.
Can I be Vegeta?
I mean, it would just be plain fun to but it's expensive. That's the problem. Like if we could easily say like, hey, Garrett and Kyle are going to be anime characters for this next couple episodes just for funsies. But yeah, we could be a frog if we wanted using face cam on Steam or something like that. But having custom assets built is very pricey.
Yes. Yeah. We'll just get Snap Camera and be potatoes.
Perfect. Done. I want to be a carrot.
So throw out decay, the decay system.
Ideally,
I would love to see the internal stats and if they consider it a success or not, or if it's just one of these things they just don't have the bandwidth to improve at the moment.
Ideally, I'd like to see smaller seasons, no decay, and let each month-long season go wild. whatever you can climb to. I mean, granted, then you get into rewards and what's your reward for climbing that much. Currently doesn't exist.
I mean,
But
I agree with you often, but I don't think I've ever agreed with you more when you in the past where you've just been like, just get seasons away from content. It's utterly pointless. There's no reason.
yeah,
Marco
Unlock
Polo
it.
wrote in from the pool. Said, in the conversation about Deckard last week, you mentioned you thought it was strange that you aren't rewarded late game for skill shotting potions. I have thought the same thing for a long time. Maybe instead of the potions growing, there could be a bonus heal if the potion lands on a hero. I believe I replied to Marco Polo directly saying I love this idea.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like it too.
I find it strange because it's like that's how Deckard can show his prowess.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, landing your crowd control abilities is good and displays some skill, but landing a potion is actually hard. I wonder if there's just no code for it. Like, I wonder if there's no way to tell it like it hit someone before it reached the ground state. Because what if it was real close? Like, what if you landed right in front of them as they walk into it and it technically touched before they picked it up?
I mean, you got like Brightwing's center and easy throw dynamite on Hogger, so things that detonate and do more damage based on if they hit the center. So I think that would be doable.
That's true.
Because if you treated a potion with that same ballistic effect, that missile effect, and said if it hits on the edges, it'll now spawn and complete as this type of potion. But if you hit directly, it delivers this special potion. And thinking from Dungeons and Dragons design, something they do whenever they're cautious about a heal spell is they do it as temporary HP. And here's the storm, we call that shielding.
Yep.
And it'd be interesting maybe if this would be too much, if you could provide shields, temporary HP in that case.
Or there's also heal over time sometimes as a bonus.
Yeah.
Like you get a burst and then a heal over time on the back end. Like ways.
Yeah, so if you're
because that would be another thing too, right? Is like visualizing the fact that it worked would be a little on the difficult side, unless you're really scrutinizing the health bar to be like, oh, it jumped more than usual. But yeah, I like this idea quite a bit, like some sort of incentivization of landing a skill shot.
Do it. That's great. Like Lily Speed, like a lot of these things have been done. I just think this is a good idea.
Yeah. De La Soak wrote in, and I feel like this is a little targeted at you, Kyle. How do you feel about your old boy Mal'Ganis these days? Writes De La Soak. His kit is still potent, if a bit niche, and I remember you mentioning how his old talent of better sleeps when coming out of a bush was underappreciated. In fact, a lot of his current non-meta talents seem pretty bad. Echo of Doom, for instance. How would you spruce up our old tanky Batman?
Yeah. Yeah, there are some really bizarre talents on him, and some of them have some really cool applications, like healing when you take mini damage. Therefore, you're better into dots, tracers, Samaros wailing on you. Echoes of Doom is a great one into Sammy because he's going to have things around you and you're popping and you're getting all this value. The lane clear is awful in general on Mal'Ganis. So he still suffers from his original issue. Once we all got over the fun of a new hero and what he brought, he is a tank that is weak to CC. And not in the you can wait till later kind of way like Muradin is. Muradin, you leap wrong, you missed your cooldown, you get interrupted. Like you definitely be like, that's on me. I'll learn to be better. I'll jump at a different time. I'll hold out next time. Mal'Ganis is just weak to CC. And you have to see the enemy being light on CC to get it. But then he's kind of weird CCing compared to like ETC, like it's just stuns, pushbacks. So he's weak to CC. He's weak to most tanks. And then you end up taking a tank that brings less pure stun CC for your team, requiring the burden of execution on them. Like, don't wake them up because we're going to wait for Li Ming to line up her shot. Oops. Tracer put out a little pew pew that direction. And now we're going to have a problem. how would I like change him? How would I spruce him up? I think removing the acceleration on his sleepy time would be a good idea. I think Leoric has slightly faster acceleration on his Wraith Walk. Of course, once you get it talented, you're really booking it. And that would be really fun to see.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the way they move is similar, like Wraith Walk.
But you don't.
What the hell is that actually called?
Nightmare Rush?
Night Rush.
Night Rush. Okay. Not too bad.
Yeah,
Not too far
after
off.
3/4 of a second, almost a full second, gain 50% move speed for 2 seconds. That's a wind up, man. That is a hell of a wind up.
Right. You're also CCable during that point. There's some oddities like Diablo Charge where you physically touch Mal'Ganis in order to do the sun. But for the most part, an Uther will ruin every bit of fun you were going to have because he can stun you before you get in contact with the sleep, which is fair. Like, that, that's fine counterplay.
Are you
It's just
seeing a
that-
lot of Uthers right now?
Not really. No, it's just a very powerful counter pick to Mal'Ganis.
Here's the reason I mention it. When was the last time you looked at Mal'Ganis' win rates?
A long time ago. I haven't thought about him.
15th highest win rate hero at the moment.
Okay.
He is above a
Interesting.
Nubarak.
Hmm.
Now again, it's hot slogs. It's not in turtle stats. Who knows? There's probably some bit of a difference there. But we have less than 10 heroes over a 52% win rate. We're close to an equilibrium. Like, I mean, we also have a lot of heroes under 50%, so that's a bad way to put it. But yeah, Mr. X in the chat room says, turns out he's perfectly designed to balance the pros and cons. Wow, how cool!
Sadly, that's what we just walked into, right?
He's doing okay. Not very popular though.
Well, I think ultimately Mal'Ganis mains. I'm putting the main title on there, right? Like that's people want to main things, right? Urels have a great time Urelling. Mal'Ganis have a great time Mal'Ganiing. And when you have a very draft specific hero, the first thing our brain goes, well, how can we fix this? How can we change that? Like, well, you lose that high, that very extreme high of just sleeping where you want to, slapping everybody, going blind as a bat because you're invincible, jumping on into your carrion swarm because no one's gonna mini stun you on the way in there, and then you're invincible and you heal up and you come out and you just swipes all over again. Like the chaos that Mal'Ganis brings in a preferred environment is so joyful that we would have to give that up.
That's fair. I mean, that's what I always, anytime we look at stats and I see something that is really low popularity, like low games played, basically getting no bans, but has a good win rate, that's usually where my brain goes, is that I think this is a more specialized hero, and the people that know how to get the most out of this hero also know when this hero should be picked. They know.
But I will also counter that Mr. X plays Junkrat. And Mal'Ganis has no counterplay to that at all. So, it's a great time for the Junkrat. So,
Are we? Is it Mr. X's fault? Is Junkrat Mr. X's fault? Should I be yelling at Mr. X?
I don't know. We'd have to get an answer on that. But sometimes
we have an oof in chat, Kyle.
Sometimes there is also that but I know the counter to the counter, and you kind of get in that rock paper scissors fun. And it's an interesting conversation to have, right? So, can we spruce up Mal'Ganis? Yes. Could we add? I mean, Mr. I'm Stuck in the chat here says, could we add unstoppable frames or any sort of unstoppable to any of those windups? Oh, that'd be awesome. And unstoppable to the last claw, even something weird like that would mean I could walk through a Junkrat trap. That'd be pretty. And Mr. X says, I did in fact balance Junkrat. Okay, perfect. So
I see how it is. You make traps, no counterplay, and then you disappear to Diablo land. I get it. I see it.
I do really like how they delayed and kind of rebalance some of the talents. I still think being able to take that many trap towns on top of each other is a bit much. But anyway, we've talked about that. This is about.
Yeah. Let me just take a big old swing and then. But anyway,
that's true. I'd like you to choose. I think having chattering and doesn't get blocked by minions is too much. But now I'm gonna anyway out of that anyway.
Yeah, man. It's been a while since I've had a reason to even look, because I've never been a fan of playing Mal'Ganis myself. This kit just doesn't really jive with me, but seems to be doing okay. We've been singing Anub'arak's praises for like a month now, and he is right there, neck and neck with Anub'arak in win rates. Yeah, but you know who's above him? Leoric. You mentioned Leoric and Wraithwalk, so maybe there's still something to what you said, Kyle.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, my ultimate problem is kind of my Kel'Thuzad problem at the end of the day sometimes is my love of Mal'Ganis isn't actually tied to Warcraft 3 in some ways. It's actually tied to the model was used as the Night Stalker in Dota Warcraft 3. And when Mal'Ganis as a character reached max speed at night, he was booking. And in the Dota 2 incarnation of him, he's kind of like arms back anime Naruto running with these big claws, and it's badass and very cool as he stalks through the night. Mal'Ganis he makes like a cat's cradle of lasers and puts people to sleep. I'm still kind of like, what? Cat, what? Hand lasers.
He's a dreadlord.
Yeah. But we do have some comments from Mr. X here, previous balance designer. So let's take a look at them.
X balance designer saying, it can be hard to determine what can be solved with just bigger numbers versus what makes a hero niche. Example of Mal'Ganis being shut down by CC. It wasn't always the case, and his kit has been largely the same. So is it that people got better playing versus him, or the numbers being higher on health and lifesteal has a threshold where the stuns interrupting him don't matter anymore since he lives through it anyways? I feel like it's the latter, but who knows? That's why talking about games is fun.
It is true. There's a fascinating bit of Gul'dan evolution right now that's taking place in the game due to a lack of player knowledge. I actually just did a video about this over on the YouTube for Heroes Hearth. Gul'dan, Reign of Destruction. It's in because Horrify enters this world of you cast who's you gonna cast Horrify? I'm gonna save all my cooldowns for it. Oh, there's Horrify. Okay, now let's really engage hard. And that back and forth is exhausting for Gul'dans. So Gul'dan Battlefield of Eternity might be on the radar here with Reign of Destruction as a push power on top of your Immortal. Also, Gul'dan does Fell Waves, sacrifices his own health, gets mana back, drains the Immortal, and the DPS is actually comparable to maybe on the lines of like a Kerrigan or a Tychus solo burning the Immortal.
Okay.
So not like Greymane levels, no, not Vala levels, but it's pretty decent. You could let a Gul'dan go solo back there, and because he can drain the Immortal, he can take care of his own health. And then when you get in lane with it, because you won, you drop the Reign of Destruction on top of your enemy. And so they have to void the area, and they take a bunch of damage, and the structures are taking all kinds of damage as things rain down. But the main point being that nobody knows what a Reign of Destruction cast looks like. And Gul'dan does like this, raw, hands in the air, wah. But during that whole wah, he could be interrupted. However, you can self-interrupt your own Reign of Destruction and turn it off. So you can go, and then go, oh, here comes the stun, cancel. And you'll have another Reign of Destruction, 8 seconds out. So you dodge the counterplay.
Okay.
People are looking for the animations, and you bait the animation.
You were just trying to sell yourself on Mal'Ganis by thinking of Gul'dan on Battlefield of Eternity, but you're actually working yourself into a suggestion of letting Mal'Ganis cancel his own Night Rush in those first 3/4 of a second. Is that what you're getting at?
That's not a bad idea.
That's not what you were getting at? That's what I thought you were getting at.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I was just getting at the fact that sometimes wind-up animations become known and other wind-up animations become unknown, and so we get things like Rain of Destruction, Gul'dan getting prevalence. So Mal'Ganis counterplay and his visuals are so well known that it's going to be hard for him to recover.
Interesting.
But I like your idea too. I like the idea if I self-cancel.
That seemed like such a lead. That seemed like such a lead. I can't believe that's not where you were heading with that.
No, that was very smart. I wish I would have thought of that.
That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, to kind of end on Mr. X's thoughts about just talking about games and like why they're interesting. It's like, yeah, I so wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I think we try pretty damn hard to say that, like, when we say like we don't like things or we prefer these other things, that it's like we don't think it's like an objective truth, that it's just things we prefer. Like I don't think in game so often I think in game balance there aren't correct answers. There's just different types of balance and different types of metas. I mean, I certainly feel that way about this game, and I certainly feel that way about Hearthstone, the other game where I talk about. It's like the metas like come and go, and there's this ebb and flow of that. And I certainly have the metas I prefer and the metas that I am less interested in, but I don't think one is inherently better than the other. Obviously, there's extreme examples. Like I don't think we ever want to go back to the double support meta. It felt pretty one note. I guess it'd be a double note, but yeah, you get the idea.
You know, maybe if my cap on this, I think my suggestion after, all this talk and as we kind of work around on it, I like personally heroes that have a weakness in their base kit, but their heroics don't have the same weakness. And that's my problem with Mal'Ganis, is that his heroics are also CC interruptible as well as his kit. And it works for him in those special kind of draft situations. It's really fun to bring him out. That's a whole different conversation to have about like.
Yeah, and I mean it could be a feels bad more than it is bad kind of thing, but I think what it really is what you've already sorted through, which is it's situational. That there are situations where he just gets hard countered. And if you're aware of those situations, you should avoid them.
And I don't want to have, and I think this is something that game design is really, kind of figuring out right now. I don't want to have brownies for every meal, but I love brownies. I love them. So let me transform into brownies when I want. That's why Final Fantasy XIV is appealing to me right now, because I can become those other classes on a whim. But I also understand, like, if I got really good at making spaghetti and I want to take spaghetti to every single raid, I should be rewarded for that. Because my spaghetti is full geared. You get my thinly veiled.
I don't like the idea of food analogies for an MMO, because you're playing the same thing for so long. I don't want to think about spaghetti that has been around for an entire expansion length.
I assume you fresh bake the. It's more like the magician. Crud. Hugh Jackman.
The Prestige.
Hugh Jackman. The Prestige. It's more like Prestige sort of thing. Every time you log in, it's a new bowl of spaghetti.
You're murdering yourself?
You ate the spaghetti, right? Yes. Because when you log out, you say, I'm done. I've finished my spaghetti.
When you log out, they're killing your character. And
No,
when
you
you log
ate all
in,
the
they give
spaghetti
you
you
a
could.
fresh clone.
You completed your spaghetti. Sometimes you didn't finish it. And
Could you have picked a darker reference?
But then, like, if you're forced to log out, like your internet goes out, that's when like the waiter comes by, like while you're in the bathroom, and takes your plate away, and you had no say in it.
That happened to my dad at our wedding.
He lost his plate
He didn't get to eat
at all. He
at
got
all.
jacked.
Well, because if you remember, we had a food truck,
Yeah.
and so he was saying hello to so many family members. By the time he finally came back to eat his food, one of the waiters had cleaned up the table, and the food truck had left for the night.
Oh.
Yep. And we asked for we had fish tacos specifically for Dad, because Dad doesn't eat meat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those are good.
They were good.
Yeah.
I ate.
Well,
I heard so many horror stories about people who didn't eat at their own wedding. I'm like, I'm eating.
Oh, dude, my when we did the caterer at our wedding, they made like doggy bags, like nice little doggy bags for us to take when we left because they
Oh,
knew we wouldn't eat enough actually at the thing. So
that's
you know,
adorable.
we're in there in all our outfits, you know, at night in some hotel, being like, oh, just like feasting.
I ate a ton, and I also apologize to the entire table of Katie's family members I didn't get to say hi to. I
Yeah,
had a good time.
it was
at
a
the
big wedding. You had a big wedding. That was big. That was a big tent.
There were a lot of people. Yeah,
Yeah.
there were a lot of people. Before it was the before times.
Before.
The before times.
A long, long ago.
Long ago, yes, indeed. Well, this has been an interesting episode, Kyle. We've gone places. We have been on a journey with this episode.
People
We
should
started
check
this
the pre-show
episode
if they wanted
yelling
more.
about a May standing in a bush.
Yeah, and look where we are now, spaghetti.
Rotten spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
Or cloned murder spaghetti.
Murder spaghetti. Hugh
I've lost the
Jackman
story.
spaghetti,
I've really lost the arc here. But yeah, I think we're bringing to a close here. Thank you for the emails, everybody. Keep them coming. itncast@gmail.com. Or if you're supporting us on Patreon, just message us right there in the Discord. Thanks, chat room. You've been great today. Thanks, Mr. X, for hanging out. I always love seeing you in there, hearing old Heroes of the Storm war stories. We appreciate you sharing those with us. Other than that, before we go, we do want to shout out to our patrons again for the support. Thank you so much, patrons. We appreciate it. Check out patreon.com/ITN if you want to support Kyle and myself. Huge thanks to our producers, Sean B. and Mike R. If you want to become a producer, check out patreon.com/ITN. We'll thank you each and every episode. And catch us live Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. I have sorted the weird streaming issue. It was just luck, Kyle. It was literally luck. Because it was a hardware issue on my end. Had all the hardware swapped out by my ISP, and now it's fine. It just, for some reason, always impacted into the Nexus and never impacted Angry Chicken. I don't know why it hated Thursdays, but it hated Thursdays. So that's fixed. So come join us live. Follow us on Twitter @ITNcast. Kyle, where can folks find you?
You can find everything I do over at kylefergusson.com. But if you want to see everything I'm really up to, you can head on over to youtube.com/AMoveTV to find Grinding Gear, the YouTube project for Final Fantasy 14. There's a lot of love over there. There's a lot going into that, and we appreciate you joining us.
We had the biggest stream we've ever done this past Monday. The most people that have ever watched a stream by a really large factor. YouTube is crazy.
Yeah.
It's really working out. A lot of people really digging what we're doing over there, and we really appreciate seeing a lot of familiar faces from Into the Nexus. So thanks for going over there and checking out what we're doing. I have seen firsthand just how much you have been busting your ass editing these videos, dude, and they're good.
Glad.
You become quite the editor. So check out Kyle's blood, sweat, and tears, and a little of my sweat over at youtube.com/AMoveTV for our Final Fantasy 14 coverage. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. He's Kyle Fergusson on Twitter. Check it out. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of Into the Nexus. Until next week, good luck and have fun.